sensory deprivation? At the end of this video, I'll actually know how to say it. The place that we're at now is called Indigo Float. They opened February of 2019, so it's a relatively new place. I've heard that it's amazing for pregnancy, and I don't know, I have no expectations, but I'm super excited, and I'm doing this with my friend Shayra again. She's recording. Hey girl. And let's go and get started. Hey guys, I'm back again at Indigo Float, and I'm here with the owner, Jackie. Last time I came here, I was in my second trimester, and I'm 40 weeks tomorrow. We almost thought that baby was coming last night, and I was like, no, I'm gonna have to cancel because I wanted to come so bad.
I think that would be a valid reason. So floating, it's new to most people, but it's not really new. He was like 50s, 60s. Yeah, Dr. John C. Lilly did the initial studies, and it's sort of taken off since then. Commercially, though, float centers have become really popular the last 5 years or so. It's touched our family personally in so many ways. We did our first floats out in Denver on a vacation, and it was pretty life-changing. It opened our eyes to this therapy that's so good for...
It is a therapy.
It is a therapy. Yeah. It really is a therapy.
For those of you watching, if you are from Jacksonville, Indigo Float is found on San Jose Boulevard here in Mandarin. So we're talking about float tanks. Okay, tank. What are you floating in? What is this? What are we floating in?
Yeah, so we have the Hungarian float spa. Our pods are manufactured in Budapest, Hungary. They are one of the only tanks on the market that do drain between each float.
Okay.
They drain kind of like a bathtub, so it fills with the salt solution and it drains. But the water you're actually floating in has about 1,200 pounds of Epsom salt dissolved into each pod. But no, we have people come in all the time who say, I'm not going to float, I can't float. You won't have a choice but to float. There's 1,200 pounds in there, so it does create a salt solution that's dense, more dense even than the Dead Sea. So it creates.
I was just about to say, just like the Dead Sea.
Yeah, it's more buoyant than the Dead Sea. So
and
you
cleaner.
lay back and it's much cleaner, much cleaner. Yes, but you lay back and you just float effortlessly. You don't have to do anything at all. So.
Yes, and I can vouch for that since this is my second.
Ours goes through multiple filtration cycles between each guest, and the fact that it does drain between each float, we have the opportunity to come in and sanitize the interior of the tank. That's awesome. Between every guest as well.
So you're not using somebody else's bath water.
Well, it technically is the same water. It is the same water because it goes through the filters.
Yeah.
We couldn't dump the salt each time because of the amount of salt. But the filtration is very complex.
Right. We
use hydrogen peroxide combined with a UV light. So it's like top-notch filtration.
Now that we're floating in this water, this magic water as I want to call it, what are the benefits to us?
It's a loaded question, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so many different directions I can take it. So we've got our mental health benefits, we've got our physical health benefits, that any kind of aches and pains or athletic recovery, the Epsom salt, just from a purely physical perspective, is great for that. Mental health benefits are where the science is going now. And it's really cool because those of us who float, we already know that it's great for mental health and anxiety, but now there's clinical research to back it up. So it's really cool what happens in the tanks.
If you're noticing, the sensory tanks close. So for someone who maybe struggles with mental health and wanting to recover in that kind of way, couldn't that be a little like scary?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's probably the biggest barrier besides education, right? And just knowing what floating is. The other barrier would be claustrophobia.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things about our tanks is pretty cool because it does close all the way, and you can close it all the way if you're comfortable with it, but if you're not, our pod has a big hinge on the back that allows it to stay open at any angle, kind of like a clam shell. So if you're not ready to close it, it's totally fine. Leave it wide open. Okay. You can crack it anywhere in between. So
that's awesome.
Whatever you're comfortable with. There's a handle inside.
It's not like mechanically gonna distract.
Right, and there's no lock or latch or anything. So even if it's closed, you can always push it right back up. So yeah, you're in control of your entire experience.
That's amazing. So what are the benefits for pregnant?
So I wish I had known about floating when I was going through my own pregnancies because I remember feeling like I was never going to lay on my stomach ever again, and everything hurts, and everything was swollen, and everything was just miserable because you know all the room's taken up in there. Everything is, you're weightless, right? So everything is relieved. Your joints are relieved. All those aches and pains
just from being weightless in
general.
From being weightless. Just from that.
Right. So that alone is number one. But we can also give you some little flotation devices so that you can get creative with your positioning, and you can maybe even float on your stomach. And for anybody who's been pregnant, the thought of being on your stomach at 40 weeks pregnant is like, your sleep patterns are likely to be more interrupted during pregnancy. Floating helps improve sleep. Creates, I think, some bonding time with baby.
Oh.
You know, when you're in the pod, we call it sensory deprivation, but that's kind of a misnomer. It's sort of the opposite. Your senses tend to come alive when you're in the tank because it's so quiet, it's so dark, so you hear everything, you feel everything, and I've never experienced this myself because I never floated while pregnant, but I hear these stories of women who just, they really feel connected to their baby. If the baby is moving, if you can feel a lot more in there. You're more aware of things in the pod than you are out in the rest of the world. With
I think the last time she was just as calm as me. We'll see if she wakes up this time.
Well, hey, if that means you get a good nap, then great.
Yeah, I wanted to share with you my first time experience, and then maybe any advice you can give me.
Of course.
So Kayla was so sweet. She was the whole rundown, and then she came in and checked on me after my little shower and to get me situated in there. And she let me kind of customize how I wanted my first experience. Like, do you want the lights on? Do you want them off? By the way, the blue lights, just those are so relaxing. I didn't realize blue light could be so relaxing.
Yeah.
And then she also gave me the option of leaving music on.
Yes.
Because I don't know if I could handle the silence. I need music. I need something to kind of keep me stimulated so that I can actually hone in on whatever it is.
Sometimes your mind just needs something to grab onto. Yeah. I think something just in the background.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's totally okay.
It was really, really hard for me to try to be still and try to be calm, and
it takes practice.
Goodness, it takes really practice. Hard.
And so we have a little joke that first float's usually the worst float, and it's not. And most people have a great first experience. So it's jokey,
maybe in comparison.
But it takes work the first few times, and I would say each time usually gets easier. It's almost like your body knows what to do
and accepts it.
Yeah.
So what was hilarious was when I finally got to that point. Again, no idea if it was 10 minutes in, 50 minutes in, because it's about an hour, right? Yeah. When I finally got to that point, and I knew it, I was weightless. I was like, my breathing slowed down. Like, I knew it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I couldn't tell if I was asleep. Yeah. I got there, by the way. It's possible in your first float. I finally get there. Remember, I told you I came right after church. Yeah. The night before, I had promised someone from church, the children's director, that she needed egg cartons, egg cartons for church for an activity. And I said, oh, I have one, I'll bring it. I'm drifting off into sleep, and I wake up and I was like, I forgot to give her the egg cartons.
Listen, it frees your mind so much. You never know what's gonna pop in. It's true.
I was so mad at myself. Like, really? I'm like, I was finally drifting off. That's just who I am, though. My brain is like,
you know what, though? But that's perfect, though. That's the prime, you are ripe for floating.
That means I really need it. Hey Shayra! How was it?
It was actually very relaxing. I feel like I can think clear and nothing can stress me today. It was actually a really good experience. I feel lightweight and everything.
Yeah.
It's something I will definitely do again.
Again. I would do it again. For me, I felt, so they gave me, did you use any of the noodles? The pool noodles?
I didn't have that option.
Oh no! But you were okay?
Yeah, I was fine.
Oh,
I was
cool.
floating and I even fell asleep. I took a little nap.
She was able to nap. I'm a little jealous about that because I couldn't shut my brain off, and every time I did try to shut it off, purposely, okay, Sarah, relax. my brain would even go on more hyperdrive. But I noticed the times that I was like, let me deep breathe, let me pray. We prayed. That was like a really good time to pray. And we realized, yeah, that like that helped me relax. Ian at the front desk was really awesome because he actually told me not to force yourself to relax. Instead, he said, let yourself kind of like ease into it. And I noticed when I finally would think, I would slow down my thoughts, and then I was able to almost fall asleep, and then I hit the side of the thing and I woke myself. I was like, oh, but it was amazing. I'm doing it again. It was great for the belly, and yeah, I'm coming back.